I was a victim of domestic violence just last year. I was assaulted 3 times by my then partner. And at the time, it was one of those things you'd never think will happen to someone like me. We all have an image of who domestic violence happens to. Some poor woman, somebody who's not educated. You know, it's somebody else, but never us. And when it happened to me, I was not prepared for it. And I came from a culture that said it was okay for that to happen. My mother said it was okay for that to happen. And I remember lying in a hospital bed, bleeding with my shoulder dislocated, not hearing in one ear. And I called my mom, and she said, basically, her first question was, where is he? Is he okay? And I said, is he okay? Your daughter is calling you. And basically, that sets the tone for the rest of my journey with her throughout that situation. And I left the hospital thinking to myself, Khadija, I mean, you're in this crossroad. I'm an African, but I'm an Australian. My African heritage did not give me rights in this situation, but my Australian heritage now gives me rights and things that could protect me. So I did something that has not been done in my community in Adelaide. No girl or African girl has gone and pressed charges on a domestic violence issue, and I did. I sat there, my mother was in there, had no family members, and I looked left and I looked right, and I thought, what will I tell my children one day? What will I tell my daughters one day? And I told the cops, I'm gonna press charges, and I did. And my family disowned me because of it. But it will still stand to be the proudest moment of my life because I did what was right for me. I deserved to feel safe, and I felt that somebody had to take that first step in saying, we stand against domestic violence, and it's not okay. And when I left the hospital, 2 months later, I did my first African domestic violence workshop with other girls, and I was able to tell them that we can have a different life. The old generation, they have their ways, but as a new generation of African, Australian young women, we have choices. And if I can be the one to take that first step, regardless of the ostracization, I have taken that first step, and I'm hoping they can, if they're ever in that situation, they can be brave enough to know that somebody is there by their side. And I continuously got phone calls with people harassing me and calling me all sorts of names and saying I was the worst kind of African in the world. But I am proud because at the end of the day, what I did took guts, but it was so worthwhile. And I know when I have children one day, I will say that was my proudest moment, that I stood up for what was right. And since then, I've gone on to advocate on, eradicating violence against women, doing numerous articles on the topic. And it just proves to you, I don't believe I was born to be a leader. To be honest, I just believe there was a gap and there was a need for it in my community. And I just took that courage to take that step and decided to be somebody who started the process somehow, and that I could be a role model to younger girls coming up to say, it doesn't matter where you have come from. And sometimes we might not get support for what we want to do, but at the end of the day, if it is right, you just have to do what you have to do. And that's what my story is.